right, well, get started here.
What are you trying to become? Yeah. What are you running for?
Hey everybody, my name is Karim. I'm running for Durham City Council at large. I use she, her pronouns. Thanks for having me.
My name is Rist. I'm also running for Durham City Council at large. I've got two boys who both are DPS graduates, so good job. Keep up the good work.
Okay, before we ask the questions, I'm going to keep you under a 2-minute timer for each question so we can get to all our questions.
Sure.
Sorry, we won't have to cut you off. I'm
You
sorry.
quick talker.
You guys go for it, yeah.
First question.
So, number one, can you start us, please? Number one.
My name's CJ. Y'all said that y'all want to bring affordable housing. What that mean bringing Section 8 back?
Anyone can go first.
Any of us could go? Right now, I think our housing. Okay, when we think about our Durham Housing Association, if we're thinking about things like that, we're already kind of very low. There's about 13 of our properties that need to be redone and refixed, and that's what we've been doing. I don't know if you noticed, they've been redoing Maureen, they've done Daymar, now they're hopefully going to do. Why am I blanking?
Liberty?
Yes. Well, they're doing Liberty right now, and so
Or like
McDougal. Why did I forget that? But either way, and so right now I think we do need to reinvest into our city properties. Section 8 is still there. I think you're meaning about the waiting list and how long it's taking. Is that what you're asking? Yeah, I think we can do something. That's about our workers. I think right now it's been so many people in it, especially since COVID happened. COVID came and really uprooted so many people from housing, from healthcare, from jobs, from literally just their lives, that we're still like facing that impact of what happened in this community. So right now, I think the ways that we can fix housing towards like the Section 8 part where we need people actually getting people in housing to do that paperwork quicker. Am I okay?
I'll give you a head start.
I think we need to make sure that we're hiring people, and I think that they all kind of tie in together. We can get people working in, make sure they get that local wage, get some of these programs moving back and going. I hope that helps.
Good question, CJ. So, as y'all know, the Housing Authority is the one that owns all these public housing properties, right? Housing Authority is technically its own kind of like quasi-independent agency. The City Council doesn't control the Housing Authority. But having said that, these are all folks that live in the city of Durham, so we care about them, right? They're all residents. And that's why with the most recent housing bond that passed, a lot of those funds went to like renovating public housing. As I understand it, and I probably need to do my research on this one, you probably know more than I do, but I think the federal government through through HUD, the Housing Urban Development Agency, won't provide any more money for that Section 8 housing. So I think the way to expand opportunities is through the RAD, you know about RAD conversions? RAD is a different sort of it's a different kind of model of how residents are funded in public housing. So that's the expanding sort of source of like units. I think of these sort of RAD conversions. But it's a little bit complicated funding mechanism. But I need to do some more research on this one because it's a great question.
Thank
All right, thank you very much. Next question.
So first of all, do you think?
Your name?
Okay. Do you think the homeless problem in Durham is a major concern, and what resources are you going to provide to like help with homeless shelters fill up?
Yeah, so really good question. And I went to the, Housing for New Hope is a group in Durham that works with unhoused people. I think the number is maybe like 300 or 400 people in Durham that are unhoused, I think is the number. So I would say it's not a major problem like, say, like San Francisco or LA, but it's certainly a problem. When anyone is unhoused, that's not good in Durham. We did pass a housing bond a couple years ago for $95 million, the biggest housing bond any community in North Carolina has passed. And along with some money from our own tax revenues, we have this big plan called Forever Home that's going to build about 270 permanent supportive housing units. And that's like housing plus supportive services to people that were previously homeless, right? So we've invested a lot there. We probably need to do more in that regard. And to make sure all the folks who need to be housed are housed. The other thing is I think there's a plan also to create like a day shelter right now. The shelter is mostly for folks staying overnight. I think there's a plan to maybe expand that and have some day facilities for folks who are in need of services as well.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Blake.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
As Carl said, housing is a human right, so anytime anyone is in housing is important. No one should be on the street. No one should go without food. Everyone should have the safety of being able to live like to the fullest. Right now, I also think we should start tackling the roots of why people are homeless. So even though we do need to push out more homeless shelters, I would rather push into funding people who are actually homeless. So I feel like people, if they got that money instead of the shelter, they can change their lives that way too. So we need to really invest in people here in Durham, and that we invest by having actually jobs that pay a livable wage. We invest by actually developing the city in a way that doesn't push people out. And we invest by making like real strict policies and non-discriminatory acts to make sure people feel safe and included in their communities.
Okay, thank you.
Very much.
All right.
Next
question. Whoever wants to go next.
For both of you, how much do you get paid?
My first thing,
Yeah, you first.
do you mean like as a city council member? Or
Oh,
so, good question. So the city council gets paid, I think it's like maybe like $38,000 a year. And I think it's actually probably pegged to the city's living wage standard, right? So it's not a lot of money. So no one, at least from my perspective, no one serves the city council to get rich. We do this because we have a commitment to public service. But I think we probably, it seems nice to be a little more people elected, right?
Yeah.
But good question. And I think it's also, just to be honest, like once you're on the council, it's hard to raise that pay because then it looks like, oh, you're just kind of like, you're sort of self-dealing. So it's a little bit challenging. But I think it should be a little bit higher pay so that, like everybody in Durham can aspire to be on the city council. Right now it's sort of like, can you make it work? It's a little bit challenging.
Yeah, so it's about $35,000 to be on city council. It needs to be raised because what it does now, it makes it to where only the people who can run can afford to live off that salary. So that means that people who are already rich or have money on their own, then it's easy for them to run. And so people who have full-time jobs and 2 kids like me, it makes it really hard to run and figure out how to do stuff at the same time. So I think if we start paying actual livable wage, more people will do this job, and then we'll have more voices and ideas instead of the small group of rich people.
So to follow that, are you basically saying that it's like a part-time job?
That's full time.
So like you have another job in line as well as what you're
Yeah, I have another full-time job that I have to do.
And do you have another full-time job?
Yeah, so I've been a consultant, and so like if I'm elected, I'm gonna make it a full-time job, even though like I'll have to rely on my wife working, and but so we can make it work. But it seems like the job is more than a part-time job, but also to do it well, to do the work. There's city council meetings, and there's committee meetings, but to actually do the work well, you got to meet with your colleagues, you got to meet with the community and constituents, and kind of do a lot of work between meetings, and that takes time. And it's pretty much a full-time.
Thank you. Next question.
Okay, so I don't know exactly what you guys can do, but what would you do to make public transportation more accessible for people who need it the most, like people who don't live really close to a bus stop? What would you do to make public transit easier for them to access?
You can either one.
That is a big deal, actually. A lot of people in Durham depend on public transit to get to the places they need. Right now, I'm really happy that we still have free buses going around since COVID, and I think that's something we should probably invest in all the time because I think it's helped a lot of people. We need to, I think, invest in bus rapid transit, which will help us move around the city a lot quicker than what we do and have a little bit more stops. And eventually, if we hopefully get state funding, we can try to think about it in some kind of commuter rail or light rail or something like that. But we need to also think about ways, like multimodal ways of transportation around the city. That means connecting the city through bike lanes, connecting the city through walking paths, connecting the city through sidewalks, so then everyone can actually move freely and find different jobs, go to different communities, and be able to connect us to different parts.
Yeah, great question. So your question was, how do we get to the bus stop, right? How do you get back to yeah. So there's a great concept you guys may have heard of called the 15-minute city. Have you guys heard of the 15-minute city? That like the idea that you can sort of in 15 minutes walk to everything you need, whether it's like the store, school, recreation, jobs. So that's something that a lot of folks are aspiring to, is to think about how do we design our community differently so that people don't need cars, and can rely on transit. So as we move towards that, in the meantime, we do need, as Khalilah said, we need more sidewalks, bike paths, bike lanes, greenways, and so forth. We also make sure all the bus stops have like a shelter, so if it's all weather, like you can be in the bus shelter and not get rained on. The other thing is, some communities have provided like subsidies for people to get like e-bikes. Like so you get an e-bike to get around. So like that kind of thing will allow more citizens to have like a bike to get to the bus stop, to get to the multimodal connection. So we need to invest in all those ways that we can more efficiently get around without having everyone have to have a car. Great question.
Thank you. Next question.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Hey, also, can I ask a question? A favor? When you guys ask, can you say where you're in school? I'd love to know where you're in school.
My name's Khaliah, so I go to school at Durham. My question to you guys is, if the local government was to get more funding, how would you guys spend a lot of this money towards improving the healthcare system and specifically towards making it more equitable and more accessible for minority groups?
Yeah, so great question. So the first thing is, like Khaliah, our state has expanded Medicaid. Have you heard about that? So now Medicaid is expanded to I think like 60,000 more families. So that's like, so at the state level, we're doing this incredible access. If we had dollars in room, what can we do to expand home access?
Yeah, and make it like
equitable, yeah.
yeah, because right now a lot of people it's really hard for them to even like be able to go to get a check-in or something if it's like really expensive stuff like that. So how can you put money into a system that can relieve that problem?
Yeah. So if I had like a lot of like a big chunk of money, like I'd love to see us invest in sort of neighborhood like sort of healthcare centers where people can get access to basic general like checkup centers in their own neighborhood. So we don't have to travel far, we can get that basic service there close by. It would be, either free or healthcare. So that's one. I don't know. What do you think? That's a great question.
Really great question. A lot of it I think we can use from Medicaid expansion. As you said, with the expansion of Medicaid, there was a gap of about $600.
600 million, yeah.
That didn't have insurance because they made too much or made too less diagnosis. But what that money does is go into rural areas and goes into these hospitals that don't usually get that much funding. It's usually because that population usually have a lower income. And so automatically that's what's going to help the lower income communities because you're going to still have somewhere to go to get your health care that's still funded in your community instead of being shut down. And that's what we're seeing. A lot of places are being shut down because they don't have enough money to run. So right now I think we need to use Medicaid expansion as much as we can and figure out how much we can get from it to go into these different areas. And also I like the idea of just having a fund to where someone in the city is like, oh, I just lost my health insurance, this and this, and then you apply and then you get money. And so, yeah.
Do we have time for one more quick question?
What do you guys got? Oh yeah. Where'd you graduate from? Oh nice.
But this is directed to you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about being another white man in power, and what do you intend to make sure people of color feel heard?
Yeah. So yeah, like obviously I'm a white man, right? What I'm running for office for is to represent the values I've been working on my whole life, with a career as a volunteer. So I've been a volunteer for many, many years with the people's lives, with folks like Katie. And so we've worked on things like public education, economic justice, tax fairness, affordable housing. So these are the values I bring that are about progressive values that mean like access for all and greater benefits for those with less resources. So those are the values I bring. As a white male, that's what I personally represent, and aspire to represent not just like my community or
Okay,
my
we're all
PA,
having
but
productive
like all of us.
conversations again, but you will get more at the next table, so